Now that her mother had a son, she would not want her daughter to be seen wearing such a paltry gift. The woman who had provided the Malek with his long-awaited boy-child would be his most favoured wife, and could afford to give her daughter a better bracelet, one with gold and gems. And this made Ilani glad. Perhaps if she was very good, she would be allowed to see her mother again. So she agreed to let Panya take off the bracelet, which Panya did despite its lack of a clasp. Ilani was far too excited about her dance to be surprised. This dance was to be her father's gift to the gods who had so favoured him. A man who had 7 children was said to be blessed by all the 7 deities, and a man who had 14, doubly blessed. And she, Ilani, was the Malek's talisman, the 7th, the lucky one. And now he had a son, the 14th, whose mother was the same as the 7th, and these were great and glorious omens that must not be ignored. He was the most fortunate man who had ever lived, and to show the gods his gratitude for this blessing, his 7th daughter would dance on her 7th birthday. It was not one of the grown-up dances, those that the older girls practised and giggled and blushed about later, the dances meant to catch the eye of a man who wished to marry. Nor was it one of the dances that a woman would perform only for her husband. It was a child's dance, meant for parties or festivals, but Ilani had practised and practised until every move was perfect. She knew every line, every spin, every graceful turn and twist, knew how to use her sashes to make herself a part of what the music represented, a bird, a butterfly, a flower. And she loved it, those moments when she was no longer 7th Princess Ilani Rohin Adayan, but simply a dancer. So when the moment came, Ilani was ready. She entered her father's audience chamber on silent, slippered feet, and bowed solemnly before him where he sat, at his ease on his great golden throne. He smiled, a beneficent smile that said he was pleased with all the world. Beside him sat his advisers, and beside them were his most favoured men, the emirs and their sons and their wives, and the guards that each of these brought with them. The chamber was full, but for the centre of the floor, where Ilani was to dance. She might have felt nervous, but then the music started, and her father smiled and was pleased with her, and so she danced as she had never danced before. It was different, almost immediately. Ilani could feel it, could feel the music in her head and in her heart and in her feet and in her fingertips. It was alive. It warmed her and breathed with her, and it was beautiful. And because it was beautiful, Ilani wanted to share it. So when she was a bird and the music was a bird, there was yet another, a glowing golden bird that appeared in the air above her and flew with her across the floor and sang for the pure joy of singing. When she was a butterfly, her sashes fluttering delicately from her arms, there was another butterfly that caught the sun and flitted from moment to moment with unmistakable joy in its own freedom. And because of that joy, Ilani did not see her father's face change when he saw the beautiful golden lights. From pride and anticipation to shock and horror and loathing. She did not hear the whispers that turned to murmurs that became cries of fear. She was caught utterly unprepared when the music died and the butt of a spear caught her across the shoulders and knocked her mercilessly to the floor. Then she could hear it, the words that flew from corner to corner of the chamber. "Filthy witch! Blasphemous! Evil!" And she could see her father's face, frozen in unmistakable hatred and loathing of her. She had no idea then of what had occurred, only that she was caught up in a wind of anger and noise that carried her swiftly from one horror to the next. There was a rush of people fighting to escape the audience chamber, a thunder of feet as she was surrounded by guards, and a chill of terror as she looked into her father's face and saw no love, no pride, no hope. When he spoke, his voice was that of a stranger, flat and cold and dead. "She must never dance again." And for 13 years, she never did. Chapter 1. Lord Kyril Seagrave had never been much inclined to scientific inquiry. He had not, therefore, considered carefully whether it was actually possible for his current condition to kill him. But as he leaned over the ship's rail and watched his breakfast disappear beneath